overnight, there was a glimmer of hope in the frantic search to find the Titan submersible that went missing in the North Atlantic on Sunday on its way to view the Titanic wreckage. A Canadian plane using sonar picked up underwater noises in the search area, the U.S. Coast Guard wrote on Twitter around midnight. And separately, an internal U.S. government memo said that searchers detected banging sounds every 30 minutes for about 4 hours. Search crews said they haven't found the source of the banging yet, but experts see this as a positive sign that the 5-person crew is still alive. There's this guy, Chris Brown, who is an explorer and a friend of the British businessman on board the submersible. He told the BBC that if you make a continuous noise, that's not going to get picked up by sonar, but doing it every 30 minutes, that suggests humans. Still, time is running out fast. The Coast Guard said that oxygen supply is expected to be depleted by 6 a.m. tomorrow, so about 24 hours from the time we are recording this right now.
We kind of woke up to this news. We got it late last night. It is crazy how the world is just focused on this submersible, and it's crazy how global this search is to me. I was just going through everybody involved. So the U.S. Coast Guard is leading the search because it's off the coast of Boston. A Bahamian research vessel was also conducting remote operations nearby. French President Emmanuel Macron has ordered the dispatch of a research ship. There's a deep sea mapping company called Magellan who actually mapped the imagery of the Titanic. They're trying to get involved out of the UK. And then, of course, there's the Canadian P-3 aircraft that kind of discovered these underwater noises. So it's just an all hands on deck, pardon the pun, search for this submersible right now.
Yeah, I mean, so what could have happened? There are these experts sort of explaining what there are potential explanations about why this thing went missing. There are 3 likely scenarios, and they range from, most optimistic to most pessimistic. The best case scenario is that Titan is floating on the ocean's surface after suffering a communication outage, so they don't have to extract it from the depths of the sea. The second is that it got tangled in the Titanic wreckage on its way down. That's kind of a medium case scenario because they still have to drag it back up. And then the worst case scenario is that it suffered a disastrous hull breach, in which case it would have imploded instantly.
I mean, the best case scenario being that they're floating at the top of the surface is still kind of a worst case scenario in my mind because they're dead bolted in by 17 deadbolts. And so potentially they're on the surface, they can see the light, and yet they can't be freed because they can only be freed from the outside. So even though that is the best case scenario in terms of finding them, oh my gosh, I cannot believe what it would be like to be inside this craft.
I think every single discussion at work or you're having with your friends today is kind of like, what would you be doing?
Right.
And like, what are they thinking? And it is just very stressful.
And then we're getting more like spicy details about OceanGate, which is the company who runs these tours. And in 2018, actually, a former employee kind of sued OceanGate saying that their craft was subjecting passengers to potentially extreme danger and that this was an experimental craft. And then OceanGate kind of sued back saying that the employee was leaking company secrets. So this is not a company that has been free from scrutiny in the past.
It's kind of emerging now that this thing may not have been particularly safe because submersibles are not particularly regulated, especially because you can go into international waters. International waters, whenever you hear that, you're like, that is the Wild West. I mean, it goes on a U.S. boat and then it gets dumped in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, where there's very little sort of oversight of anything. And in terms of the extreme tourism economy that this is a part of, you have to imagine that, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic get their spacecrafts inspected to the wazoo by the FAA, and what was concerned this former employee and 38 other marine experts who wrote a letter saying they were extremely concerned was that the CEO who was on the vessel was not subjecting it to a third-party inspection
Right.
because he thought it was too expensive. And they were like, you need to get this thing inspected, bro. He was like, nah, it's too pricey. So we will see what happens. Obviously, there's 24 hours left.
I know.
To find this.
We're going to be round the clock. We want to do the full pod on this because, the updates are coming in. Hopefully, we get a positive update coming forward.
We'll see. It's like looking for a minivan in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Hey, thanks for watching. And if you want more Morning Brew Daily, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And also check out the rest of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
New episodes drop at 7 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And you can email us at morningbrewdaily@morningbrew.com.